Uh-oh, better watch where you're going, because if you're not careful, you could run into a demon or two. They exist across the world, regardless of culture, era, or climate. Demons are where people are, and it's tough to avoid them altogether. So cross your fingers, keep your shoes tied up nice and tight, and maybe have a backup plan or two. It's time to count down the top 5 scary demons that are real, part 4. Coming in at number 5, we've got Balor. When your people have an eternal, mythological, supernaturally powerful enemy, life can be pretty rough. Dealing with the leader of said eternal, mythological, supernatural group of enemies can also be very hard. That's Balor for ya. Leader of the Fomorians, a malevolent force beyond comprehension, this enormous eyeball has been described in myths and legends passed down from the first Celtic settlers. This demonic tribe constantly showed up, bringing the deadliest of natural forces along to cause doom and destruction throughout Ireland. Plenty of battles were fought between these demons and the folks who just wanted to keep existing, but the deadliest of all has to be Balor. A gigantic fiend with strength beyond measure, Balor was a sight to behold. However, you definitely didn't want to look at him. He had an enormous eyeball, rumored to be poisonous, that could turn the tide of any skirmish. It was so big, in fact, that he required a team of servants to manually open and close it. Anyone who he pointed said humongous eyeball at would perish, and this became a keystone weapon in the Fomorian arsenal. For ages, these demons dominated the Celtic settlers, forcing them back and preventing them from truly taking hold of the land. However, there was a prophecy that did not bode well for the demonic tribe. Apparently, Balor's grandson would someday strike him down and dethrone the Fomorians in one decisive blow. The one-eyed giant did everything he could to prevent this from happening though. Hiding his daughter Ethlyn away to prevent her from ever bearing children, Balor was careful not to let any grandchildren make it onto the scene. However, a priestess managed to sneak a human hero into Ethlyn's quarters, and this man seduced the woman. This resulted in triplets, only one of which survived. And wouldn't you know it, this surviving sibling grew up to be the heroic Luch Lemfada. He was an ace with the good old slingshot and managed to get his granddad right in the eye. The bullseye was enough to down the legendary giant, forcing the rest of the Fomorians back into the sea, finally freeing the humans from the years of terror. I guess when you have one crazy weakness like that, you've got to be careful. We haven't heard much from the Fomorians since, so maybe they're waiting for another leader with a power as strong as a poisonous eye. In the meantime, folks seem to be doing alright over in Ireland. Coming in at number 4, we've got the Yaoguai. We'll travel from Ireland to China for our next famous group of demons. Also known as strange ghosts or strange devils, the Yaoguai were mythical demons who wanted nothing more than to be immortal and godlike. They strove for power and agelessness, but did so without considering the consequences of their actions. Firmly on the dark side of things, these demons did whatever they could to achieve their goals. By practicing Taoism, they acquired many of their powers, but disregarded the founding principles of balancing light and dark. It was all dark. In fact, the Yaoguai would often consume the life force of holy men to keep their search going. They take on many forms, often appearing as different types of animals. Regardless of what form they take though, their ultimate goal always seems to be deification. They can even shapeshift and assume the form of a human if they need to trick someone. There's a famous story called Journey to the West, which follows a holy man named Xuanzang. On his journey, he's pursued by a Yaoguai named Bai Gu Zhang. Multiple times throughout his pilgrimage, he's approached by this Yaoguai in different forms, sometimes as a little girl and other times as frail old men and women. Thankfully for the holy man, he was accompanied by the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, who would chase off the demon with the staff. Eventually, the demon did show its true form, a horrifying skeleton. The Monkey King was ready though and proved victorious in battle. Of course, this battle was won because Sun Wukong was a legendary warrior. Thankfully, average individuals could keep these demons away through more manageable means. According to some, Yaoguai are afraid of light, so having a torch on you or lighting off fireworks can scare them off. But if you ever find yourself without any source of light, which was especially common way back in the day, you're out of luck. Coming in at number 3, we have the Leyak. Vampires are pretty freaky, right? Well, here's the deal. European vampires, while deadly and seductive, are probably the least terrifying imagining of a blood-sucking immortal. See, over in Bali, there is a late-night blood-sucking demon that would scare the crap out of any sort of lychee legend. The Leyak, a deadly demon, spends most of its time appearing human. It'll walk and talk just like an average person in the daylight, causing folks to let their guard down. But when night falls, it undergoes a horrifying transformation. Its head will detach from its body, shedding the now inert skin and bones, while still holding onto its organs and entrails. This stream of guts then hangs down from the bottom of the head, giving it a truly grotesque appearance. I don't know about you, but if I ever saw a floating head trailing a whole body's worth of blood and guts behind, I might just lose my own head. The Leyak will spend a lot of its time searching for blood, often ending up in graveyards looking for some of that red stuff to slurp up. However, like most folks, it does prefer its food fresh. If you leave an offering of blood outside your home, you might be spared. But if a Leyak is really hungry, it might just head inside and snag some fresh blood from newborn infants and their mothers. That's about as fresh as you can get, right? Like vampires, these demons used to be humans in some way, shape, or form. Often those who practice dark magic would end up as a Leyak. Plus, the victims might find themselves under the influence of this demon. There are a couple of ways to deal with it though. One is to destroy the body it leaves behind while floating around, and the second is to remove it from Bali. Apparently, if you force this demon to go live somewhere else, the evil will be unable to return. Not bad. Coming in number 2, we've got Ordog. Corrupting and collecting souls. What could be better, right? Well, if you were the shape-shifting Hungarian demon in control of the forces of evil, that would be the case. Ordog would spend most of its time in Pokol, or Hungarian hell. During his time down there, he took damned souls and constantly brewed them in a horrifying cauldron of heat and hatred. Sounds like a whole lot of fun, right? Well, as it turns out, folks don't like the idea of being tossed around in an inferno of souls deep underground, and as such, avoided going to Pokol. So Ordog, not wanting to run out of brewing materials, would return to Earth's surface in disguise, looking for souls to corrupt and bring down with him. He'd cast off his regular appearance of a horned, cloven-hoofed humanoid and instead don the visage of a fox or a dark-eyed shepherd. In these forms, he'd do what he could to trick people into performing evil deeds, thus punching their ticket to Ordog's cauldron. And coming in at number 1, we've got the Shedim. To cap off our list, we'll take a look at a set of demons that have been worshipped as gods too. That's right, one man's benevolent protector is another's terrifying demon. Originally seen by Mesopotamians as guardian spirits, these eagle-winged humanoids were interpreted as demons by Israelites. What were once protectors of cities and symbols of good luck were now hellish abominations, false idols, and symbols of destruction and human sacrifice. It's a hard pivot, don't you know? They possess statues and pretend to be gods, often encouraging folks that behold them to act out of turn. Where they came from is a story that doesn't seem to have any consistent basis. Some say they were unfinished creations forgotten by God, left to their own devices. Others say they were the demonic spawn of serpents. Regardless of where you say they come from though, you'd better be careful around them. The last thing anyone needs is to be sacrificed to a demon, you know. Well, it could be good for some people. I've traveled all around the world to find these demons for you. Well, all around the World Wide Web. There's a lot of good stuff out there, eh? So, what'd you think of today's list? Do you agree with my picks? What demons do you think strike the most fear into the hearts of people everywhere? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more luscious ones from the top 5 scary things left by demons. Weirdo says, shows close-up of the shadow doll. Everyone's fear intensifies. Good, so it worked. Suko Yote says, I have been to the Warrens Occult Museum and I have seen the shadow doll. Definitely not a pretty sight. Well, at least you survived, right? Let everyone else know that they'll be okay. Linda Sava says, so who are the suckers? The people who looked into its eyes or the people who looked away? Well, I'll let you figure that out for yourself. Good luck. Kali says, the picture with the crying boy. I think I saw that painting at the building where my grandmother lives. So what you're telling me is that the place hasn't burned down yet. And Saint Dan in a nutshell says, I knew that was a demon that left that awful smell in my room. I blamed the cats, but never myself. 100% demonic farts, not at all my own. Usually when that happens, people will blame Taco Bell or McDonald's breakfast. And that's all the time we have for today. I'm gonna go golfing with hand grenades instead of golf balls. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thankfully for the holy man, he was accompanied by the monkey king Sung Wukong. Thankfully for the holy man, he was accompanied by the monkey king Sung Wukong. Why am I so bad at speaking? Why can't I do this? Also, are you kidding me? Eventually, the demon did show its true form though. often. Come on.